Well, hello, Shaw viewers. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to speak about our most recent City Council meeting. It was a great meeting, and we had some major decisions that we're glad to be talking. We're at the studios of Curtis LaBelle, and you have a wonderful career, and you've got lots of great activities that you're involved in, so it's a pleasure to be here today.
It's a pleasure to have you, Deputy Mayor Bruma. A couple of questions about the last meeting. At Monday's meeting, Council reviewed a report of quarterly crime statistics on community policy. What were some of the highlights heard from RCMP Superintendent Holly Glassford in the quarterly report?
Well, we really appreciate the opportunity to hear from the RCMP about the issues because, first of all, RCMP and police services is one of the largest areas that we have on our budget. And we know that it's an issue that citizens always are interested in and have concerns. I think the one thing that we perceive as we look at the statistics are that there's perception and there is reality. And the reality is that we're actually seeing a decrease in some of our important crime areas. And that's that part on that reality. The other point that really came out on that is that if you go back on the days of Robert Peel when he discovered policing, there was this model that the community is the police and the police are the community. We are in this together. And one of the points that comes up is that if there is crime and if there's activities that are suspicious, it really is important that the community takes on that role. We can't count on the members that are patrolling the city to take care of that. We all have a role and a responsibility for that. And it's important, and this was brought up at the meeting. If you see something, report it now. They can't do anything 3 days after the fact if some of those types of issues and that are coming about. So I think that was it was a positive report, and it gives council an opportunity to ask some of those particular questions. One of the other aspects about that is that they are putting together a province-wide policing plan with the Alberta government. And there is so much, crime activity isn't isolated in Red Deer. There's much of it being where we're located in that there has to be a province-wide approach to that. One of the questions that I brought up was the whole area of justice. We can have our police do all the great work that they're doing, but we also need the work of the justice system. That would be the courts and the judges to do that. Mm-hmm. We have a big new courthouse that's coming up, but there are some times where there just aren't the resources that are there. And I find that that's an important issue because here we have our police doing their work, but if charges are being dropped or we're not able to successfully prosecute those things, then we're not able to address what some of those particular issues are. Right. Another aspect that I would add too with that is with the report, we made some changes to our community standards bylaw, and one of the areas we've oftentimes get complaints about is noise. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we've done with vehicle noises is we actually put part of the community standards bylaw to deal with that. And our municipal policing force, as well as our CMP, have been trained with that. And as soon as that was activated, we've actually seen results with it. And within minutes of actually doing it, they were able actually to use the technology and the tools to lay some charges around that because we hear about that regularly.
Wow. You talked about, the community just moments ago, and I wanted to just elaborate on that, the Building a Safer Community. City Council approved a budget of amendment to receive grant dollars for the Building of Safer Communities Fund. Can you talk a little bit more about that grant from the Public Safety of Canada and what areas the city could use the funds for?
Well, I'll be honest, this came as a little bit of a surprise, but a pleasant surprise. The federal government gave us over the next 4 years over $2 million, and the focus on that is youth crime and gangs. And the question was asked, well, what is youth crime and gangs in our community? Again, some of that are outlying issues because being between Edmonton and Calgary, mobility, all of those kinds of things, we start to see some of those as areas of potential concern. And what I appreciate about this and with our social policy framework we've done with the City of Red Deer is this is going to allow for some proactive work in these particular areas. And it's not just the RCMP that will be doing that. Our city staff, along with system leaders across the city, are going to take a look at those resources and say, how can we be proactive on this particular issue?
Awesome. That's fantastic. For public hearings, Council conducted 3 public hearings on Monday. What did you hear from the public in regards to the reasoning to allow a massage therapy school and clinic in Riverside Light? And can you talk a little bit more about the Capstone site and the exception?
So we have, of course, land use bylaws throughout the city, and there's many, many different zoning areas. And we were approached by a proponent that was asking to be able to locate a massage school in the Riverside Light Industrial Park. And it wasn't zoned for that. So if they want a change of zoning, then they come to city council,
Right.
they make their case, and then we take a look at that and we make a decision. This company is wanting to relocate. They've been looking for some time in terms of finding the right site, and they did locate a site in the Riverside Light Industrial area where they feel that that is going to work for them. And we want to be open for business and allow for those opportunities. What's unique with the Riverside Light Industrial is that it does have quite a combination of businesses. And as you drive down there, there are a wide variety of businesses. So there are a few different kinds of zonings. So they wanted to be allowed to do that, where there are similar types of businesses that would be zoned. They did need a site exemption because it was going to be a training facility, a commercial school. And that's why council had to make that decision. But as we take a look at it, and I also want to recognize the really important work that our planning staff is doing, we are doing a detailed review of all of our land use bylaws. And while the current bylaw may not have allowed for this, there is potential that the bylaw changes that we will have enacted by the end of 2023 may have allowed for that. So I think it's a positive sign that we want to be flexible and meet the needs of where business is, and that's why they had to come to council for that. With regards to the Capstone project, we continue to be very excited about Capstone. We did have a developer that wanted to put a development on a property that has not had any action since 2008. It's an empty lot, and they came with a plan to us that required an exemption, because in that area we're wanting to have two-story buildings. We want to minimize the parking frontage and that too, to create a more pedestrian-friendly environment. The development is on the periphery of the Capstone area, and we felt that it was a quality development. There was some good opportunities for that. We also want to signal that we are ready to start building in Capstone, and I know we oftentimes get questions about it. And I'm happy to say that council is going to be having a workshop on the Capstone area to take a look at the current vision and maybe take a look at what are some of the things we need to do to make sure that it will be attractive for businesses, for developers, for citizens to come down and enjoy that space. You know, it's been interesting over the summer. Capstone has really been attracting people. There's been a number of events and activities that are there. We are excited about Capstone, and we do see that there is really starting to be an increased interest, and that was clear in the hearing yesterday. There is more and more interest around Capstone, so people aren't just curious, they want stuff to happen there.
Right. It's almost a different kind of shelter for us, which takes me to a closed session that happened during City Council, chose a potential site for a future shelter of discussion that we've had in our community. What are the next steps for that process right now?
So I'm pleased to say that council did make a decision on that. And one of the things we have to be really aware of is that the decision around shelter, we were able to influence its location, but this remains a provincial responsibility. They're the ones that are going to fund it. They're the ones who are going to see the overseers and the operators for that. But we felt as a city council, and this goes back to the previous city council, but also this council, saying we want to make sure it's the right location for that. So a decision has been made. We now need to bring that to the province for their approval, and our hope is that at the September 26th meeting that we will be able to let the community know where we're going. But beyond that, we have 14 advocacy statements about what we believe that facility needs to do. And we are excited about the possibilities and the potential. We know the challenges that Red Deer is faced with our current shelter situation. Even the operators recognize there are real challenges with this. Once the site is done, we want to continue to influence what we believe will allow for success and make sure that we're able to do the very best we can. And one of the important aspects of this is that it's not just about shelter. It's about providing housing along the housing continuum. We want to minimize people being in shelters, and we want to get them properly placed with housing. So it becomes part of a larger strategy in how we can do it. I will have to say this is one of the toughest decisions that this council and previous councils have battled with. We know it is a pressing issue in our community. We move forward with confidence. We move forward with vision and courage. And, the decision on making it was difficult. There will still be an awful lot of difficult work ahead of us to make sure that we get it right. But we are optimistic. We are hopeful that we will get this right. And as the process continues to evolve and we determine what that site and the opportunities for it are, I think we're in a good place for this.
Well, it's nice to hear that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, and it's not a train coming right
Yeah,
towards
right?
you, exactly.
Deputy Mayor Bruma, is there anything else that you would like to close out for our chat for today from yesterday's council meeting?
One of the things we reflected on is that we are almost 1 year into our term. The election was on October the 18th.
Awesome.
And you take a look at the times that the issues that we've been dealing with, it has gone by so fast. We have a wonderful team. We have a great team. We're working hard together. We appreciate, we like each other. We have diverse opinions, and I think we have good debate that's making sound decisions for Red Deer in our community.
Lovely to hear, and I think that's it. I thank you so much for joining me here at Curtis LaBelle Music.
Absolutely. It was great to be here.
Cheers.
Thank you.